Hello, everybody, and welcome to part, what is this, 10 of my Fire Emblem 6 hard mode chapter guide? I believe this is 10, because this is chapter 9. Or maybe it's 9. I don't know. This is chapter 9, because we did our first guide in chapter last time. We are going to be entering the Western Isles, which is a portion of the game that I've been talking about for a while now. This is a portion of the game where Rucker is going to shine, and I'll say most of the chapters are quite a bit easier considering we did have to deal with like chapter 7 and chapter was it 3, I think. So hopefully this will be a little bit easier. So this chapter is the first chapter of the Western Isles. There's a few different things we're going to be doing. We're going to be recruiting some new characters. There's a route split choice that we're going to have to be dealing with here. So let's get right into that. Number one, we need Noah, and we need Sue, who I think I'm already bringing. Yes, I'm already bringing Sue. These two are important because the two characters we're going to be recruiting are recruited by them. So, very important to bring them. The other thing that I will say, other than just bringing, of course, your strongest units, is that thieves are really amazing here. You can bring one, or you can bring both. Honestly, I may very well just bring both because our team is pretty strong. This is our first Fog of War chapter, as you can see. Now, there are torch staves in this game, and I think we actually may have one. Not on anybody. Oh, we don't. Okay. Well, I think you can get a torch staff at this point. Maybe it's on somebody else, but torch staves are fairly useful. They give... Oh, it's on OJ. Okay. They give some decent utility to staff users. You can see a little bit more in the Fog of War. But the thing about thieves is that they are just basically permanent torch staffs. So this is going to be important for a lot of different Fog of War chapters from here on out. I think thieves are extremely important. As you can see, if we put a thief here, suddenly we can see all of these units, which is really important, not only for preparing for your turns, but also for attacking enemies. Because if you move, let's say you moved Shanna here and you couldn't see this guy, you wouldn't be able to attack him, even though Shanna can now see him. You wouldn't want to do that anyways, because Shanna's weak. But, so thieves are extremely important. And they're going to be really useful. As I said, even though there's nothing to steal, or there's no chest to open, they're still an extremely useful unit. So I'm going to do some battle preps, and then we'll come back and talk about the early part of this chapter. Alright, so I've finished my preps. The first part of this chapter isn't particularly complicated. There are some pirates down here, and some units there's a decent amount of units in the middle, actually. But there's one thing that I want to mention, because the place that they start you on this chapter is really annoying. You start on this little island here, and the bridge is the only way off other than with your flying units. So the start of this chapter can be quite tedious. Now, you can absolutely just have your units come down here. It's not that big a deal. I put Lance here. We can have him come kill this pirate. But getting here early is pretty useful. Again, it's not super important. This isn't like a chapter where you desperately need to be doing it in a certain amount of turns or anything. But I did just want to touch on this because I did bring Shanna, even though I'm not training her. She also has some stuff to sell later. But what we can do is, and the reason that I brought her, is that I can rescue Rucker. You can do this with anyone, of course. And next turn, I can drop Rucker in the middle and get a lot of mobility that I wouldn't otherwise have. So Shanna is really useful for these sort of things, which is one of the reasons that I don't think it's necessarily necessary to train her, because she can do this no matter what. But it's a really nice start to this chapter. So I'll just talk a little bit about the chapter, and then we'll start skipping around. The units that we're going to be recruiting, which are Shin and Fur, which are recruited by Sue and Noah respectively, are up here. Now, they are going to be coming at you from across this bridge, usually when you get to about here, so I wouldn't worry too much about them, because they are going to come to you, and the units that we're using to recruit are have good mobility in Sue and Noah. So, I wouldn't worry too much about recruiting them. Just make sure that Sue and Noah are around here, and Fur and Shin will be coming across that bridge. There is a house down here. Now, there's a silver sword in here. You are going to have to be sort of aggressive to get it, because the pirates will go to destroy it. Silver sword is not the most useful thing in the world, but it might be nice to get if you just kind of put some of your resources down this way. And then these are the route split choice. This is B and this is A. If you don't pick any, you default to A, and we'll talk about the choice as we progress in the chapter. Now, as far as this chapter is concerned, I don't do this in a super fast amount of time. Eventually, reinforcements are going to start coming from these two forts and this fort. The boss is a berserker, and it can be kind of dangerous if your rucker is promoted at this point because you invested more into him or you just early promoted. Perhaps you can sort of like quick kill the boss or something. But the much safer way to handle this chapter is to just wait out the reinforcements, and you can get a lot of experience. We'll talk about kind of how to handle the reinforcements as we go. But as for the chapter right now, just kind of try to get somebody down here by this house and deal with the middle and set up the recruits. So I'll skip around, as I said, a little bit, and I'll probably come back when I'm recruiting Fur and Shin, and we'll talk about them. Okay, so we've taken the middle over quite well. As you can see, Fur, as I said, is going to be crossing this bridge, and we can actually see Shin right over here, who's going to be coming right after her. So as long as you can get to this point, you can recruit Fur pretty easily. We have Noah set up right here. I do need to kill this guy, so I'm going to take care of that. And then we can recruit and talk about Fur. And see some Lu action. My HP screwed Lu. I think my Lu's like level 17. He still has 20 HP, which isn't great. Okay, so we can recruit Fur. Now let's talk a little bit about Fur. Fur is a level 1 Myrmidon, which does not seem particularly good at this stage in the game, and it really isn't. But she does get hard mode bonuses, which is really important. Because as you can see, her stats are actually really high for being level 1. Her HP is a little low, but her HP growth is pretty good. And that base HP for level 1 is quite good. 9 strength is really good. 13 speed is really good. Her defense is obviously a bit poor. I don't think that Fur is a particularly good unit. She'll serve a lot of the same purposes that Rucker does. And obviously Rucker at this stage, even our sort of underleveled Rucker, is just like way stronger. He always will be. I don't think that Fur is a terrible unit to train, and if you've lost Rucker, she can be kind of helpful. But Rucker's sort of time to shine is during these isles and slightly beyond, and Fur's going to have to take more time to gain levels, and ultimately is just going to kind of wind up being a slightly weaker unit. There is kind of a meme on my playthroughs where Fur is like the best unit in the game because I just train her a lot. I just kind of like using her, sort of extra fun to use, I think. You can absolutely train both as well. I don't think that the Hero's Crest in this game are like anyone is clamoring for them. There's really not a lot of other good users for them. But yeah, I would probably not recommend training Fur, even though I don't think she's that bad. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about Shin, who we're about to recruit. As I said, we have Sue in range of recruiting right here. So let's grab Shin. Now, Shin is a character that I absolutely love, and you can probably see why immediately. He's a level 5 Nomad with absolutely busted bases. 29 HP already, 13 speed, 10 strength. He's got 8 defense. He takes hits ridiculously well. You can see how well he looks just fighting. Okay, that's not a good example, because that's a mage and he doesn't have great resistance. Only base 1. But, like, yeah, look how he handles these archers. Can immediately double. He's absolutely amazing. The only downside with Shin is that a lot of people say that you shouldn't go Sakai, which is a route split later. You should go Ilya, and training Shin can be sort of annoying for that reason. Now, on this playthrough, on this chapter guide, of course, we're going to be doing both. But don't let that stop you. Obviously, you may not want to go Sakai. You can always do something like just make sure you train Shanna a little bit more, or train both Pegasus. The way the route splits work, I think I've mentioned this, is either if Shin and Sue's combined levels is higher, then you go to Sakai. And then if Thani and her sister, whose name is escaping me, who's a Pegasus Knight we're going to get in a couple of chapters, if their combined level is higher, then you go to Ilya. So one of the problems is that, as I said, people tend to think that Sakai is more difficult and that you shouldn't go to Sakai. So training Shin is not great. But as far as a unit devoid of that, Shin is awesome. His growths are also amazing. I mentioned how much I like bows in this game, and I really do. And if you go Sakai, Shin is awesome on Sakai, because a lot of those nomads, the unpromoted ones, have to have bows. And so Shin can attack back, he can enemy phase them, he takes hits well, as I said, and he dishes out really good damage. So I love Shin. I would highly recommend training Shin. If you don't want to go Sakai, maybe you don't want to train Shin. But there are some workarounds, but I think Shin is absolutely amazing. I love Shin. And in the late game, the game is like littered with wyverns. And so the ability to just like one round a wyvern, no problem, is awesome. I'm a big fan of Shin. So at this stage in the chapter, we've cleared up a lot of the stuff. There's still some stuff down here. I'm just kind of showing like what I'm doing down here. You know, Lance and Alan at this stage can kind of do their own thing. I do have Saul trailing with Physic, although he can't use Physic yet, but kind of trailing just in case I need some healing. But as I said, sending somebody down to get this house is important if you do want the Silver Sword. I also wanted to touch a little bit on the boss and why it can be dangerous to finish this chapter quickly, because the boss is a Killer Axe. And a Berserker with a Killer Axe means that he has 65 crit, which can be extremely dangerous. Even the Hand Axe has a bunch of crit, so it can be really dangerous to actually fight him, which is one of the reasons that I do like to wait out reinforcements. Now, as I said, Rucker can absolutely be promoted at this point. You can also do stuff, and this is how I might kill the boss, we'll see, like attack with Lou at range, and then rescue drop Lou. But that takes a while, and you're going to wind up dealing with some reinforcements anyways. So just be aware that the boss is pretty dangerous with that Killer Axe. So for the rest of this, I'm going to be basically just cleaning up the units that are remaining, and then when the reinforcements start, I'll talk about them. I'll come back when the reinforcements start. Alright, so the reinforcements have started. Now I do want to mention one thing here, which is that you absolutely do not need to wait out these reinforcements. If you want to try to kill the boss, like right now for example, you absolutely can. You could very well have all your units up here. But if you do want to wait out the reinforcements, I just want to talk about them a little bit. One comes from this fort, and this positioning with Deke, you can do this with any character. If you're trying to train Fur, it's a great position. I was going to do it with Rucker, but he's kind of slaughtering everyone over here. But you can just sort of fight the unit. You can also get heals in here, because the thing is, this guy can't go anywhere. You can also get, like, range experience if you had, like, if you're training Sue and you wanted to, like, shoot there. Our Sue's untrained, so that's not very impressive. The other pirates are down here. Be really careful if you go over here, because I believe the Hand Axe pirate can actually spawn here and immediately, like, attack here. I've definitely lost Clarion before, because these pirates can one-shot your frail healers. As you can see, our Clarion just does not have a lot of health, so she will get one-shot by that guy. So be extra careful down there. I have Lance and Alan kind of just patrolling the shores. You can also use sword users down here, although it's a little bit more dangerous because 2x users, if they do connect, can kill more frail sword users. But obviously our Lance and Alan are quite strong. So we're going to be waiting out the reinforcements. I'm going to deal with the reinforcements, and then we'll talk about the route split choice, and then we'll talk about the boss. So I'll be back then. Alright, so we're almost done with the chapter here. There's just a few things that I want to go over. Number one is that we're actually going to be doing our very first promotion. Lance just got to level 20. As you can see, he's pretty strong, so we're going to be promoting him. And I did not bring the Knight's Crest. Oh, I brought it on Danny, didn't I? No. Okay. Sorry, I forgot. I was like, I'm all ready to promote, and then I forgot where I put my Knight's Crest. So I'm just going to show the promotion. I mean, obviously it's not that interesting, but I want to talk a little bit about promotions in this game. There's some conversation I think to be had about like early promotions in a lot of different games. I think in some other games, especially Fire Emblem 7, early promotion is a really good idea. I think in this game, early promotion is a pretty bad idea. I would not recommend it. It can be kind of tedious to get those last couple levels, especially on some units we're going to be getting around this time. But Fire Emblem 6 is a game that scales really high in the late game as far as enemy stats are concerned. So getting those extra couple levels when you're unpromoted is really useful. Now, it also means that there's a lot of units to kill, which means that when you promote units, they'll probably get really high. Like, for example, our Lance will probably get to, like, cap level 20, something like that. But the couple extra levels you get as an unpromoted unit can be extremely useful. Now, you can also get nothing, of course. So I'm not saying that you necessarily shouldn't early promote, but I would probably not recommend early promoting in this game. It's also really easy to get to level 20. You know, our Lou's pretty close. For some reason, he's, like, HP screwed and has way too much skill. But yeah, I would recommend getting characters to level 20 in this game, but obviously it is up to personal preference. The next thing I want to talk about is the route split. So as you can see, we have two choices here. Now, if you do nothing, as I said, you go to A. The one I would recommend would be A, which is the one on the left. There's a few reasons for this. Number one, I think the chapters are just kind of easier and I understand them better. There's like some annoying ballista stuff on B. As far as characters are concerned, there is a difference in characters. Either way, you get a dancer. It's either a dancer or a bard, but they have the same stats and do the same thing. The pre-promote you get, I think, is actually better on B. I'll talk about them more as we get to them. But I think Bartrey is a better unit than Echidna. But one of the biggest reasons to go A as opposed to B, as far as the units are concerned, is Gonzalez. So if you're not planning on training Gonzalez, it doesn't really matter. But on B, Gonzalez comes as a level 11 Brigand. and on A he comes to level 5 Brigand. Now this might seem much better on B. The problem is his stats are identical. I don't really know why this is, but if you want to train Gonzalez, highly, highly recommend going to A. You basically have to go A, because you get essentially 8 additional levels of growth that you wouldn't get if you go B. It's really weird. Again, I don't know why they do it the way that they do it. Obviously, if you're planning to like early promote him for some reason, then you can potentially go to B. And we'll talk about him more, as I said, once we get to the Western Isles, or once we get to that portion of the Western Isles. But also, as I said, I understand the chapters a lot better, and I prefer A. But it is up to you. But as I said, if you're planning on trading Gonzalez, 100% go A. So I guess I'll have Chad, or sorry, this is install, visit A. You also get a different weapon, a killer bow. I actually don't know what you get for the other one. I also want to mention these shops. There's some shops here. This one's just got generic, like, fires and heals and stuff. This one's only got swords and axes. You can actually buy hammers here, which is probably, like, one of the worst weapons in all of Fire Emblem, so I wouldn't recommend that. But yeah, the final thing to talk about is the boss. As I said, he is a bit scary. There's a few different ways to handle him. You can have him switch onto his hand axe and then potentially have, like, Rucker do it. The way that I like to do it, because I like Lou to promote around this time, is have Lou attack and rescue drop. So I'm going to just kind of show what that means. Actually, having a little extra skill on Lou's kind of nice, because he actually has pretty good hit here. So we don't want the boss to attack Lou. Now, in this case, Lou can absolutely not take a hit from the boss, because... Oh, actually, this boss isn't that strong. He only has 22 attack. Oh, he actually can, but he's going to have crit, which we do not want to risk crit. So you basically just rescue Lou, and then drop him back here. And you can basically just rinse and repeat that. Now, as I said, if you have promoted Rucker, or you just want a killing edge Rucker, you can absolutely do this a lot faster. But this is a pretty safe way to do it, and it's a good way to get Lou a kill, because, as I said, we do want to be promoting Lou. Okay, so I just wanted to mention a couple more things before we finish the chapter. I have gotten him to switch onto his hand axe, because I just want to show this, how dangerous this can be. He has 23 crit. Now, 33 hit is obviously really low, but 23 crits, so 100% you don't want to be risking this. Another thing to mention is when you are ready to kill the boss, this is one of the dangers of doing this early, is there's some units that actually come when you get around to this point where Thani is, or Shanna, and then there's 2 more units that come when you actually go to fight the boss. So if you spread your units too thin, you can encounter some problems. So I'm going to have Luke kill the boss here, or we're going to miss. This is also one of the dangerous things with doing any sort of stuff like this, because you always risk missing. This is Fire Emblem 6. So we'll take care of the rest of this, and then I'll come back when I'm ready to kill the boss. Okay, so I'm really sad that I did this, but I was just kind of skipping around trying to get the boss kill, and I just want to mention this. I wish I could show this, but unfortunately I was not recording. Lou actually missed. He missed the 80% that I showed. He missed another 80%, and then hit the boss, didn't kill him, and actually got crit by the hand axe. So that really low, and that's why we're kind of reset to this point. So that really low percent, that seemingly low percent of 30 hit and 20 crit, just be aware, it can absolutely happen, and it will happen if you test Fate too many times. Again, I really wish that I could have shown it, but I was just kind of skipping around, so we'll see if Lou can hit this time. Okay. So that time we're good, so we'll get Lou the kill, but again, just be aware, spots like that, it's always dangerous, and for me, you know, I'm just kind of speeding through this, showing it, so I can just reset. But if you're doing like an Iron Man, for example, that's just Lou dead right there for unnecessary risk. So just be aware that any kind of crit can absolutely happen. Okay, I've killed the last couple of units, and we are ready to seize. I believe there's nothing else we missed. We got the house down here. We got the houses up here. Perfect. So that was the end of this chapter. As I said, just be really careful of the boss, and there are a lot of Berserker bosses from here on out. This game loves Berserker bosses. I will be, as I said, doing the B side of these next couple chapters of the Western Isles, so we'll do A and B going forward. But yeah, that's the end of Chapter 9, and I will see you next time. I'll start with A, and then we'll do B as well. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.